Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. We find ourselves midweek, and we are well within Shloshim Yom Kodem HaChag, getting ready for Pesach. So as I mentioned yesterday, I have re-released or perhaps made more accessible, if you want to search through previous episodes of this learning podcast, you'll be able to find from a little over a year ago many episodes dealing with the meaning of Pesach and episodes dealing with Leil HaSeder. So just scroll back or do a search, and you'll be able to start your review and preparation for Chag HaPesach Haba Aleinu L'Tova. We continue our learning with L'Zechus Tzva Haganah Yisrael, L'Refuah Shalema L'Chol Am Yisrael that need, safe return of all of our hostages, and our learning is dedicated in memory of Seren Daniel Shimon ben Harav Daron V'Sheli Hashem Yikom Damo. We begin a new chapter, Mehilchos Medina, and the first paragraph is Dina Demalchusa. Echad haklal ma'aserim b'dinei mamados u'mishpatim hu haklal Dina Demalchusa Dina. One of the foundational principles when it comes to monetary law or judicial law is the principle what's known as Dina Demalchusa Dina. We're going to explain what that means. Kolomar, Din hamalchusa din means that the law of the land is the law. And a person has to safeguard and keep and observe the laws of the kingdom. So in other words, wherever you live, whoever is ruling where you live. Whether it has to do with taxes, whether it has to do with tariffs, fines, fees, whatever. Or whether it's something as simple as following and observing the traffic laws. And according to most poskim, someone who cheats on one's taxes, if you don't follow those rules, then you're actually violating a Torah law. So there are many interpretations given for this. So first is that people who are residents of this country or kingship or rulership, they're accepting upon themselves the rule of that government, and they're also realizing that they're giving up some of their merits for the greater good, meaning that this government is going to make laws and is going to do things for the public good, public welfare. And always what happens is that many citizens are constantly complaining the taxes are too high, we don't like certain laws. But in any event, as long as they are not outwardly rebelling or trying to overthrow the government, so there's complaining, but if they're not doing anything to overthrow the government, so they're ultimately still accepting the rule of that government. Look, we all do that. We don't like things that our government does, even here in this country, but it doesn't mean that we're renouncing our citizenship. It doesn't mean that we're not keeping the laws. Od Hezber Nitzgar, another explanation is mentioned, that the land of the entire Medina is connected to the malchus, to the rulership, to the government from a point of view of conquering. How did this government, how did this kingship come into power? Through conquering, through military power. Therefore, any land of this country belongs to the Malchus. Therefore, anyone who lives in this Medina, so you have to listen to the boss, the Hainu HaMalchus, which of course is the kingship. And even though, yes, every home, every apartment, every domicile has its own boss, they're still part of a larger society, which is part of the malchus, part of the kingship. Shimlo hais osa malchus, for if not for that rulership, miodim osa chatzer osa bais haynisha beitem. Who knows that you would still have your own domicile? You would have control over your house, because the reason you have it is because the government makes sure that it stays intact. Ulegabe memshala nivcheres, and as far as an elected government, barur sheish lo lefachos es osa kach sheish lo malchus. Certainly, we realize it's clear that we have to recognize the power that this government has. When it comes to a memshala, a government, and an overarching body, the general agreement of the public to its rulership is much broader. Because they were chosen by their constituents, they were chosen by the citizens. And therefore, we voted this government in, so we accept whatever rules they enact. And even those who are not voted in, those who lost the election, let's say, but they still agree to be part of this government. That's what a democracy is. If a person says, no, I don't agree to this democratic principle, this is no worse than if a person would reject the rulership of a king. And what would happen? That the king could impose his will and on the citizens, so certainly here it would be the same. Dina Demalchusa Dina. We say, no, you have to follow the law of the land. He says, so therefore, in conclusion, or to summarize, one has to follow the rules of the land, one has to pay taxes, one has to pay tariffs, whatever it might be. You can't cheat on these types of fees. And therefore, anybody who does not pay the appropriate fees, cheats on taxes, things like that, is in violation of an Isser Torah. And you can't say, oh, well, I don't believe in the government or I don't agree with the government. No, one still has to pay one's taxes, and this applies wherever you are. That's the principle of Dina Demalchusa Dina. So we'll see more of this as we go along. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Please continue davening for Tzvah Gan Yisrael, for Shalem L'Chol Amei Yisrael's safe return of all of our hostages. And please learn something special. Ilan Nishmas, Seren Daniel Shimon Ben Harav Daron V'Sheli Hashem Yikum Domo. Have a good day.